Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of the Create Your Joy podcast that is brought to you by Coach Ivania Leung and Shruti Goel. And Ivania is a mindset coach, and I am a self-love and empowerment coach. And both of us graduated from the Jay Shetty Certification School last year in 2022, and it's our passion and purpose to bring this podcast to you where we take a unique approach. We listen to music that we find impactful and find a way to talk through the lyrics and help people stand in different perspectives. And as you do that, you begin to be more open-minded, which is such an important quality, to be someone that is coachable and that can look within and make meaningful transformation in your own life. So our hope is that you will have the benefit of our experience, that you will engage with us, that you will share some of the music that you find inspiring. And we plan to come to you week after week, bringing you songs that have touched our lives and through which we would like to share some coaching techniques and some other ideas with you. How about we get started, Ivania?
Yeah, thank you, Shruti, for the introduction. I am so excited, to jump into these lyrics and be able to dissect them, and in different perspective, on your perspective and my perspective. And it just doesn't stop there. I think also our audience have their own perspective, and they started with that perspective and our perspective. It gets like a bigger perspective. And I start seeing things differently in a different way. And like you said, it's also good, as we can use as a tool, for clients, and then for us also for coaches. And I can't wait. So I think we're going to start this time with the song "I Will Always Love You" with Whitney Houston, which I love, by the way. I think one of the things that if I would have a power, I think I would ask for Whitney Houston's voice.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're right about that.
Because it hits every note, and she used to sing with so much passion that it penetrates any wall that you would want to put in front of you. So I really hope that all of you enjoy it, and we invite you, if you have any comments, any feedback, just let us know in the comments. And if you have any songs that you want us to talk about and dissect them, let us know.
Definitely. And I was just going to mention that for our audience, we'll put a link with the lyrics so that you can go somewhere and look at them as you're following along. And also feel free to, whatever method by which you listen to music, give it a listen if you haven't listened to this song in a while. It's a really beautiful treat. But Ivania, since it is such a song of personal importance for you, why don't you share a little bit about your perspective on these lyrics?
Yeah, yes, looking at the lyrics, I want to, dissect like the first verse, where it says, "If I should stay, I would only be in your way. So I go, but I know I'll think of you every step of the way." And let me read the next so it can kind of follow what I wanted to say. It says, "And I will always love you. I will always love you. You, my darling, you. Bittersweet memories. That is all I'm taking with me. Yeah. So goodbye. Please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need." So to me, this is so powerful, because when I'm listening to the couple of sentences, she's trying to decide whether it should stay or it should go. But I want to bring it to my perspective. I want to talk about how we have a higher self, which is the voice that we have as an intuition, and the lower self, which is the negative voice that's always telling us we're not good enough, we're not ready, we don't know enough, we can't do this. So all those negative thoughts. So as a mindset coach, I always try to not listen to that voice and try to listen to my higher self. So I want to bring this song and come and talk about the higher and the lower self. So when it says if I should stay, I think it's the lower self in between. Like I'm listening to the higher self, but then I'm listening to my lower self, like what it is. And it goes and says, I would only be in your way. So the lower self is saying, if I stay, meaning if I don't change, if I stay in the same situation, I'm blocking myself. I always will be in my way.
Yeah.
So I'll go. And it makes a decision to take the chance, knowing that it's leaving something behind. And it says, but I know I'll think of you every step of the way. And when it says this, Shruti, to me, it's like when we follow our lower self, we make it also, it's actually making us aware of the things that we're not supposed to do, or the things that we're learning. And of course, we're not gonna forget how we got here.
Yeah.
And it says, I will remember you every step of the way. So what do you think about that?
Oh my gosh. I think it's a really powerful song, and I love your perspective about like a conversation between the higher and lower self through this. And I want to bring a slightly different viewpoint to it. And the way I experienced this song, sort of in the context of how Whitney Houston sang it, is that from that self-love perspective, also, it's the idea this lover, finally finding their self-worth. And this happens in many relationships where one person has grown apart in values from the other person. And often there's a lot of conflict at the end of that kind of relationship. But I find that this song is almost like an anthem. It's trying to teach us what is the right way, what is the conscious, beautiful way of uncoupling in a way. And so that's how I'm experiencing this line that says, if I stay, I'm only going to be in the way, not only in my own way, that's what my self-love is telling me, but also in the way of the growth of the other person. And that is a really enlightened perspective. And so I'll go, but I know I'll think of you every step of the way. And that, this person that she has loved is not going to be forgotten. The good times will continue to be remembered. And hopefully the challenging times, will be thought of, but in terms of gaining wisdom from them and learning something from them, rather than just feeling bitter over it. So that's kind of how I see this one. And then I will always love you. I think this is such an important thing. And when I hear this song, I almost feel like, yes, she is saying it to the guy, but I feel like she's also saying it to some part of herself.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like an anthem of self-forgiveness is how I
Yes.
It's like she's almost saying, yes, I love the other person, but I will always love me for making this decision. Because sometimes it's hard to make a decision that causes pain for us in the short term, but is beneficial in the long term. So anyway, so these are some thoughts that I have from these initial lines, and it is a soul-stirring song. I really listen to it.
Yeah, no, you're so right about that, because when you were speaking of how it's talking about to herself a little bit. I was
Yeah.
just thinking also like it's giving herself permission
Yeah.
to want more, permission to become other things that she wants to become, permission to do what she wants to do, permission to reach whatever she wants to reach.
Yeah.
And that's why when you mention I will always love you, I will always love you, of course we're always going to love our lower self because it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
So I really like that they said, I don't hate you, I don't dislike you.
Yeah.
It's more like I'm aware of you.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm allowing myself to move forward.
Right.
And without any regrets or grudge. Right. Because when she goes into the bittersweet memories, where it says bittersweet memories, that is all I am taking with me. So goodbye. Please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need. And when it's talking about bittersweet for me, I'm talking about, for me, that perspective that I get from this is all that experience that we had, the bittersweet, because we don't have a good ones, or we don't have bad ones. It's up and down, up and down. So all those memories is actually what is building us up. And actually those experiences, bittersweet memories, is what is bringing us awareness and where we want to go, or when we're not okay in one situation. So the dialogue between the higher self and the lower self has to be friendly. And I really love that. And it says, please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need. And when I hear these lyrics, to me, what comes to me is that we know when we outgrow situation, or we outgrow relationships. And then the lower self understands that the higher self does not this part anymore. It's ready to move forward. And that's where the peace comes in. Where said, because there's an understanding, say we both know this is not what you need. And becoming aware of that and letting it go, it brings us peace to take the steps to move forward. And it's just so amazing, these lyrics,
Very inspiring. I agree with you. And as I'm looking at this, just that the bittersweet memories, and just the idea that, you're going to have both happy and sad, moments, and it's up to you what you focus on, and so, there'll be moments when the bitter stuff will come up, but just as often you'll have the sweet things to, look back on. And probably the most important thing is, it's important that she's saying that is all that she's taking with her in this song, because it's somewhat what you were saying, like she's not taking any grudges with her, she's not taking any trauma with her, and any baggage, really, because memories are memories. It could be as simple as photographs, and so yes, it's something that has happened in the past, but it doesn't have to affect or hurt your future. You can occasionally think about it, but you don't have to ruminate on it.
Yes.
It's kind of what I see here. And so she's saying goodbye, please don't cry. And in that please don't cry, I almost, sense that, again, it's that duality. She's not only asking him to be strong, but she's also asking herself somewhere to be strong. Like, please don't cry. This is not the end of everything. This is just the cusp of a new beginning also, and it's really important to note, because in a way, on the surface, this is a love song, right? Like, she's saying goodbye, and it's meant to be really hard to walk away from a relationship that had so much love, and that love is not suddenly going to disappear. And so it's going to hurt a lot to walk away from that. So her saying, please don't cry, I feel like is another one of those reminders for both of them.
Yes.
And that's why in the next line, I feel she says, we both know I am not what you need. And to me, it's interesting that it's written this way, that it's what you need, because I'm interpreting that as, again, being that she's saying that both to herself.
Yes.
Hey, this person is not what you need in order to move forward in your life. And she's also saying it to him, to her guy, to say that, we both know that I am not what you need in order to move forward. So, and again, that chorus line, I will always love you. I will always love you.
Yeah, it's so beautiful what you just described, because also, always just remind us ourselves, like, I will always love you.
Yeah.
I will always love you. And I think I want to bring back to the slower self.
Yeah.
Like, we want to be friends with ourselves, with our entire self, with our mind, with our body, with our soul. So it's more like, I will always love you. I don't hate you for what we've done.
Yeah.
Is I understand what we did, what we did at that time, because that's what we had, and that was our understanding at the time. So it's more like an understanding between both.
Yeah.
And I really love that. It's like a mantra. I will always love you. I will always love you, because that starts to create a sense of peace and not a sense of guilt or shame.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, you're right. I love how you said that it's like a mantra, because she has to remind herself of this constantly. And, in order to keep creating and feeling into the future with positivity, rather than staying stuck or hanging on to just the negative feelings and thoughts.
Exactly. Beautiful. Well said. It's stuck. I love that too. Stuck. Because most of the time we feel stuck, but because we haven't become peace on that stuckness.
Exactly.
So I really love that.
Peace to the places that feel stuck. Yeah,
Yes.
that's great.
Yeah. And if we move forward into the half or the others, finish the song, it goes, I hope life treats you kind. And I hope you have all you've dreamed of. And I wish to you joy and happiness.
Yeah.
But above all this, I wish you love. When I read this, it's like there's not a little bit of bitterness, like angriness or like anger. It's just so much love and kindness. And you want to go and do this piece?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know for me, that line, I hope life treats you kind, there's just a sweetness about it, to wish that for someone, to really wish that, can only be done by someone that has done their own inner work, because until we have looked inside ourselves and explored some of the hurt and abandoned parts of ourselves, we can't truly wish kindness upon anyone else. Because it's true what they say, hurt people hurt others, right? Hurt people is how they say it. So when you have looked at some of those patterns within yourself and have dealt with it, then you're able to offer kindness to someone else. And I just love that it feels so sweet, to read this stanza. And I hope you have all you have dreamed of. I mean, it takes a person who is so secure within themselves to wish someone to be able to get everything that they've dreamed of, and wishing them joy and happiness. I mean, beautiful. And
Yes.
all of this, she says, above all of this, I wish you love. And to anchor into love, much like we say, in my work, I say you anchor into self-love. And when you fill yourself up with love for yourself, it spills over onto everyone else around you, and that's truly the most pure way to share love, rather than giving love out of obligation or resentment, because sooner or later that's going to turn to bitterness. And so that's why, like, these lines just are a beautiful reminder of how you have to start with work on your own heart and inside yourself before you can offer it to the outside. But when you do, just like this person,
Yes.
be able to spill that love, that kindness all around you.
Oh, that's so beautiful the way you describe it, Shruti. It's just amazing how you say you anchor yourself with love.
Yeah.
You not anchor yourself with bitterness, with anger, with resentment, all because obligation. But it's so true what you say, anchor yourself with love. When I was reading these lines, we say, I hope life treats you kind. I think, the higher self is understanding of how our lower self take us some time in the wrong places.
Yeah.
And always the higher self was saying, I hope life treats you kind.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it says, and I hope you have all you dreamed of.
Yeah.
And that's the higher self is what it wants for us.
Oh, that's beautiful to hear.
It wants that all of whatever our dreams we have to come into realization.
Yeah.
And it says, I wish to you joy and happiness. And when I hear joy and happiness, is love, completely love. And it says, but above all this, I wish you love.
Oh.
And if I put together all these sentences, to me, it's unconditional love, completely.
Yeah.
There's no attachment. There's you owe me, I owe you. Like you said, it's not forced.
Right. Yeah.
And because of everything, if the higher self has all this unconditional love for you, it wants it for the lower self as well.
Yeah.
And not just the lower self, but everyone, every single person in this earth. And I like how you said it, anchor yourself in love, because it will spill.
Exactly. It will spill over to other people around you. And I just loved how you put it into perspective with the expansive love that higher self has for us. And I want to share that, this is one of the most important things that we do in coaching, is actually both in mindset coaching and in self-love coaching. In many ways, we introduce our clients to their wise self, to their higher self. And, there's so many different ways and tools to do that. Sometimes we'll do it through a visualization. Sometimes we'll do it through a dialogue, through a conversation. And there are just, people's lives change when they get in touch with their higher self, because we live in a world that is constantly pulling us towards the outside to get one more opinion, to get one more thought from the outside. But the truth is that at our deepest levels, whatever decisions we need to make, we can make those decisions based on the wisdom and intuition of our higher self, of that beautiful, wise side of ourselves, whose voice is sometimes drowned out by our inner critic. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to say that this is such an important thing that coaching especially can bring into your life, is this new connection with this other part of you that has always been there. It's like our little Jiminy Cricket, just like Pinocchio had. It's our little Jiminy Cricket, that conscience, but that gets sometimes drowned out by the other more loud voices within us. So
Yeah.
I really loved what you said here.
Yeah, no, beautiful said. And just to kind of finish the song,
Yeah.
it goes back to remind, herself and the lower self. And I will always love you. I will always love you. Like the mantra, I will always love you. I will always love you. I will always love you. And I will always love you. You, darling, I love you. And here, I'm reading it. And what I'm getting at is that this mantra is for herself.
Yeah.
It's not the lower self that's letting it go.
Yeah.
It's more, it's like when you look in the mirror and you say, I will always love you. I will always love you. And you're giving yourself that love, that unconditional love. And it says, you, darling, I love you.
Exactly.
And I really love that because it's like emphasizing in you, who you are as a whole.
Yeah.
It's not a division where the lower self and the higher self are separate, because they're not separate.
Right.
So as a whole, I love it when it says, you, darling, I love you. And I can totally see myself in the mirror and telling myself, you, darling, I love you.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Really well articulated. And I'll just add that to me, when I see these lines, repeated, it definitely makes me think of a mantra for yourself. But also it's almost like, to me, it feels like she's saying that to the other person, to herself, and to the different deeper layers of herself. Like as she's getting to know herself, it's to her emotional self to say, I will always love you. I will look at your emotions. She's also saying, I love you to that little girl inside her, that inner child, that has been hurt in so many ways in the past. And she's saying, I will always love you to her, even her inner critic. We know this, again, that one of the most important things we learn in coaching is that, in life coaching, is that you can't just throw out the shadow parts of ourselves. You can't just throw out the inner critic. It serves a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why it's there. And so what you have to be able to do is, in a way, love your enemy. Find a way to have some compassion and allow this part of you to exist.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is that maybe it's not going to be as loud. Its voice is not going to be as loud in your mind as it used to be. And so I feel like she's going deeper and deeper, into herself, as she's saying, I will always love you. And it always starts with the outside. Who's on the outside? It's the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like she's going deeper into these layers. And I'll always love you. That just seems like a promise of a lifetime,
Yes.
and it almost seems to be like her tapping into her self-love in that moment too, to give her the strength to make this decision to walk away.
Exactly. And I really love the fact that you touched on the inner child, because I wanted to share a story. When I'm saying, like, I can see these lyrics saying, I will always love you. I will always love you. And I will always love you. I put up a challenge on my Instagram, a couple of months ago. It was a what minute self-love challenge, where you go into the mirror and then you say to yourself, I love you, and years before that, I wanted to try it and say it to myself. And I went into the mirror and I was like very confident I was going to do it. And then I brought along my daughter, and then we walk into the mirror, and then I go, okay, you go first. So I asked my daughter at the time, she's 10 now, but back then she might've been 6 or something. And then right away, she's like, okay, I love you. And she said it like right away. And then for me, I look into myself in the mirror and I wanted to say, I love you, but I couldn't. I broke down into tears.
Gosh.
And because what you were saying, because of the childhood that we had lived, and not only that, we're talking about bittersweet memories. And then I couldn't do it. There was a lot of shame. There was a lot of, it was shame. It was, I wasn't good enough. Like, who am I? And so a lot of thoughts came into my mind. And then I reflected that night, why I cannot say I love myself? I mean, I've been working on myself for years and trying to go into this journey, of self-discovering.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, the next day. And the next day we went, I brought my daughter along, and sure enough, she did it. And I wanted to do it. I wanted to say it, and I just couldn't say it. I broke myself again.
Yeah.
So again, I went back into reflecting mode and said, okay, I need to figure out why.
Yeah.
And the reason that I figured out when I was, reflecting, meditating on it, and giving myself a time so I can reflect and search. And what came up for me was that I wasn't forgiving myself for what I have done wrong.
Yeah.
And I came into peace with myself, like at this song. That's why I really love songs. And that's why like this speaks to me.
Yeah.
Because I had to make peace for that person that I was before.
Exactly.
Because whatever I did it with the information I had at that time.
Yeah.
If I would have a different awareness, I'm pretty sure I would have done something different, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And that's why when you say like we have to become friends with our credit voice, we had to become friends with the lower self and the higher self, and forgive ourselves so we can move forward with peace. Because it says, I know, it says, I know you, this is not what you need. And I know, and my higher self knows that I don't need my to be ashamed,
Right.
or to be embarrassed of what I've done. So it made me a sense of peace. I became peaceful and friendly with my lower self. So I'd be able to move forward.
Wow. That was really moving, Ivania. Thank you for sharing that, especially about your journey. And how long someone could have worked on themselves and still have a hard time looking at themselves and saying that I deserve love.
Exactly.
And I definitely had a turning point moment with that as well. It stuns you when you realize how challenging that is, but it is one of the most beautiful gifts, I think, that we can give ourselves in this lifetime. And I want to thank you for giving me the gift of this song, because I personally, I've grown up with Bollywood music, being originally from India. And so English songs and Hollywood songs have come to me late in life. And but it's been such a beautiful process of discovery. And as you share these songs, I get new songs added into my anthem list. And my thought is that if I'm feeling a certain way, I might play one of these songs to inspire me, to remind me of what I have forgotten, because I find that that's what these lyrics are these pearls of wisdom that are right here in front of us. And if they are somehow sung to us, I think we receive them differently than if we just read them somewhere.
Yeah, beautiful. I like what you said.
Yeah.
It will remind me of what I have forgotten, because of the loud voices sometimes from the external world.
Exactly.
So that's very beautiful. Well said.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, with that, let's bring our first episode to a close. Can't believe it. This was such a wonderful experience. And in closing, I just want to say that I hope you create your joy as you listen to this. I know our joy is to create this together and bring it to you. And we can't wait until the next episode. And please leave us kind comments and share your thoughts with us and any songs that inspire you. If you like this podcast, you can hit like or subscribe so you can keep up to date with the work that we're doing.
Thank you so much, everyone. And like Shruti said, if you like this and inspire you in some way, or if you have a new perspective, please share with whoever you think it needs it as well. And come back because we're going to have more. And also, like I said earlier, if you have a song that you want us to dissect and look at it in our own perspective, so it would be nice creating more perspectives so we can grow together.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And with that, we promise to see you again soon. Bye.
Yes.